Having a proper base in Palworld is one of the most important things you have to do. Actually, scratch that, having multiple perfect bases is the most important thing. Which is why in today's video we're gonna go over everything you need to know in order to set up your perfect run with some amazing starting on bases, which are going to eventually transition into building some of the best high-end stuff like best Pal spheres to catch up high-level enemies, best gear, best armor, weapons, and many more. So let's dive right in. So this is one of my starting bases, as you can see right here. Now this does not involve any resource extraction. That's going to be done via some specialized bases in just a bit. But regardless, I wanted to set up a base that's purely focused on catching and then creating as many pals as humanly possible, both because catching a lot of pals early helps a ton to level up fast. Plus, eventually you want to create some really strong breeds and specimens so that you can fight a lot better. So this is basically that. Plus, the views are pretty nice. We even have like a cascade over there, and you can of course find this in the early stages, so it's not really much to talk about. But one of the first setups I made was for a Vixie farm. So this is something that you can literally start by level 5 as long as you just get the ranch over there, and then the Vixies are actually very easy to find, but they will drop a ton of these two very important early resources, the arrows and especially the Pal spheres. So you will never have to worry about these ever again. You can just go ahead and capture so many pals early on until you reach the higher end stuff so that you can get as many levels as possible. This will easily boost you to level 25 within like a couple of hours of doing it properly and taking advantage of the XP bonuses. But Vixies are also very easy to acquire too, so this is an early on type of creature that you can find all over the starting area, so especially so around the collapsed church and also a little bit down south over here. So in these red and then the orange forests, you're going to find a lot of them just sitting by. Now the next I set up was obviously a cake farm. We of course needed a lot of cake so that we can then funnel it into breeding, otherwise breeding is not possible. So there are two things that we needed. Well, of course, a pan again with a bunch of beasts. This is the chickpea and the mozzarella we needed for the milk and the eggs, but also the honey. So I do have an Elizabeth right here, which for some reason after the update stopped working altogether. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on right here, but whenever I try to use it at one of these farms, it just refuses to start working, and I'm not sure exactly why that's the case. But before any of that happened, it produced hundreds of honey for me, and as you can see, like I still have hundreds of some of the other resources so that I can funnel all of that into a lot of cakes. But you also of course need some of these wheat plantations. I only set up a couple because that's as much as you need, and then just transform all of that into flour by using this mill right here that you can also create. So all of this can be handled by any water creature, but pancaking is probably the best. You can also take care of your red berries plantation, which is used to both craft that cake but also to have them eat that. By the way, quick tip over here is that if you place these berries first on the far most left, in this case slot in the feeding box, they will never consume the following items after that. So as long as you still have something in this slot, they will never consume the milk, the eggs, the honey, and all the other stuff. They will just focus on the first one. So try to get a good plantation that produces thousands of these each day. And from that point on, of course, it's all a matter of creating, well, breeding actually a ton of these pals. Crossbreeding is a very good thing to do right now because it just gives you a ton of very strong pals, as long as the starting parents are also very strong in terms of the bonuses they get. So for example, we just got an Anubis with burly body and ferocious, so that's actually really strong, and I think that we're gonna get another one with some good stats, maybe. Okay, so we got Power of Gaia, muscle head, burly body. I did want a burly body, but not really on this one. I would have preferred vicious and muscle head, but I guess I'm gonna take it like this for now, and I'm just gonna let them breed for a little bit. But I'm using 2 pans just because it makes breeding a lot faster, and I can test things out and get some new specimens out of it. But outside of that, the only other thing I set up here are some of the basic starting benches. Eventually we're gonna move over to conveyor belts and also the beds, plus a few of these spots they can jump in the springs so that they can heal up a little bit and be in a better condition. But now let's move over to the second base. So the second base is the one you already know about, which is right here by the Desolate Church in the same red forest area. So like I said, I want to split out my farms and never confuse them with one another. So this one is purely focused, as you can see, on mining resources. Specifically, it's going to be ore. Ore is one of the most important resources that you will absolutely need all the way to level 50, plus a bit of the wood here. So this location is very early. It's just a bit up west from your starting location, and there are about 10 of these ores. You would have seen them if they didn't get fully destroyed, plus so many trees. But yeah, my entire farm got completely razed right now by my very hard working pals. So I'm really grateful that they are actually able to do this. The only thing I kind of need is better transporting NPCs, but in this case you don't really need much. You just set up down one of these boxes, and as you can see, they will bring thousands of these resources, and then you can go ahead, put them in one of these furnaces and craft as many of the ingots as you can. I do need a lot of ingots. These are funneled eventually into refined ingots and eventually into pal ingots, and it's going to be needed for all of the higher grade stuff, including the spheres and whatnot. So we're gonna check that in just a bit. I did create one of these conveyor belts, but you're not gonna need it at this stage. This was just like for some testing I've been doing. But one of the good creatures early on at about level 20, when I unlocked all of this stuff, is the Tombat. So the Tombat comes with a couple of very good abilities that will help you here, one of which is actually his ability to mine, a level 2 miner that will actually do a good job at destroying all of these ores and destroying all of these trees. They don't do much transporting despite having level 2 into that, but if you maybe add a few more, they will eventually start picking things off the ground, and of course you can find them all over the place. So at night they will literally spawn throughout all of the starting zone and even to the adjacent ones. A very easy creature to grab. But of course I also then moved to Anubis since I just bred so many of them. Do make sure that you still get some automation going on when it comes to the food. You don't really want to have to travel between bases to create food. So in my case, I still set up 2 of these red berries, which creates like thousands in like a week or so. So just enough for about 10 to 12 of these pals to eat and not go too hungry. But this brings us to our last and the final option, which is going to be the best of them all because it combines so many things. So this one I set up right here up north. It's actually very close to the Veiled boss fight / the Sealed Realm of the Guardian. So the reason I set it up here is because we need coal. I wanted to create a coal mine. Coal is extremely important. You need it for refined ingots, which eventually you will need to craft some of the ultra spheres, and eventually even get funneled into the pal spheres that you will need for the legendary variants, plus many more things like some of the armors, weapons, high grade stuff, even carbon fiber, though in the case of the fiber I recommend using just charcoal, which you can produce by just using regular wood, and it's way less expensive. But in this case, this specific spot has so many advantages, and one of them is that it has 4, which are again fully destroyed, but full 4 ores of coal that all of my pals, as you can see, are grabbing and bringing back at the base. And then there's also about 8 or so of these regular ores that, yeah, they will still pick up if they destroyed everything. Don't worry, these completely respawn, plus there are 4 of them in this small little circle right here that you will find, and the remaining 8 are around here, so you can perfectly set up the base right here by the cliff and kind of have this amazing, beautiful view of that waterfall stream. Actually, there are multiple waterfalls right there. This is probably one of the best looking spots in the game. So of course, this is not the only location in which you can find these types of ores. You can also find coal all around the desert area where Anubis spawns, plus some of these other spots that I also placed on the map. But this I found to be the best because the area is pretty much a full-on mountain top. So you never have to actually worry about any incoming raids. Nobody can even attack you because guess what? There's no road leading to this platform at the top of this mountain. So theoretically speaking, you're in the best position possible in the game to just mind your own business. And like I said, not much here to talk about. You will eventually have to set up these conveyor belts, so these do come in at a little bit later. So you get one at 27 with the sphere assembly line, but then at 28 with the production assembly line, and everything else is like level 30 plus, especially for the weapons, the polymer, and especially if you want the upgrades for these, you're going to move way into like 45 and 50, but 28 plus is going to be very good to set most of these up. And by this point you will need a lot of the ultra spheres for the moments ahead. If you want to fight and capture level 30 plus spells, a lot of them will not be capturable. With some of the others right here, you will need a lot more than this, so ultra spheres can help with that. However, there is one element that becomes a bottleneck later on, and that's going to be, yeah, you guessed it, it's the cement. So the reason cement is so annoying is because you cannot really farm two of its main components, including the bone and the pal fluids. Well, you kinda could if you were to just buy them from some of the vendor NPCs, but you will need gold for that, so you're still going to have to farm for gold to get these. There's no automation process. However, I am going to show you a very early on spot that you can use that will give you both of these very easily. So let's actually start with the even lower level variant, which involves just killing Vixies. Unfortunately, they are some of the earliest that actually do get to drop bones. Either capture or kill them, they will give you those bones. Plus, you can also get some of the pangulets, and they will also drop some of the pal fluid that you need. I suggest capturing the first 10 so that you also get the bonus XP. However, later on there's going to be an even better variant, which is also very close to the base, just a bit down south right here at the Gobfin turf. So in this location, you're going to find two possible spawns. So one of them is going to be, of course, the Gobfin. Gobfin drops spell fluids, and the area is overly abundant with these creatures. Only keep in mind that they are level 20 plus, so you will need to also be level 20 plus or have some very good pals and damage. But otherwise, they are easy to capture / defeat and get those fluids. And the other creature that also spawns relatively in the same area, which is going to be, in this case, on that shoreline, is going to be the Goree Rat, which kind of has a small overlap with the previous spell in the same area. So theoretically, you can get lucky and just do a quick little sweep over here and take everybody down. This is going to give you both the bones as well as the pal fluids when you capture / defeat those. And luckily enough, the output here is times 10 on the cement, so for every 1 pal fluid and 1 bone you get times 10 cement. Plus, of course, you need the stone, but stone is super easy. So 100 cement for just 10 of each of those enemies means you can create about 33 or so, if I'm not mistaken. It's about 33 of the ultra spheres with just 100 cement, which is still very, very good. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the video. That's how the farm is set up currently. This is also going to transition later on into some of the other high-end stuff, but for now and up until like level 30, it should help you a ton. And yeah, that's pretty much it with the video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.